Welcome to the channel, Loving Life on Less. My name is Liz, my husband's name is David, and we discuss all things money saving, frugal living, loving life on less. Today's video is a compilation of your tips, our wonderful viewers that when asked, what do you do to save money in the kitchen or on groceries that are free or cheaper alternatives than normal, you didn't disappoint. We received some tips in the comment section of the video, and we also received some tips by email. Here are your money-saving kitchen tips. Kodamatachi 1, please excuse any of your nicknames or names that I may not pronounce correctly, says that vinegar is an excellent egg replacement in baking. With eggs being in short supply in certain places and certainly have gone up in price, any type of egg replacement is a great idea. Having a quick research on the internet, half a tablespoon of vinegar is equivalent to 1 egg. Charlene Smithgood says, frozen bags of berries are very often cheaper than the fresh berries, especially as the freezer bags of berries, you tend to get a lot more in. Even better than buying the frozen bags of berries are if you can wild forage your own or pick from a local fruit farm when they are in season. Rough Hewn Homestead has a couple of great ideas. She keeps a dry starter to make her own sourdough, as a dry starter doesn't have to be fed and can be kept in a small lidded container in the fridge. Also, another suggestion by Rough Hewn Homestead, which we thought was a really good idea and we're going to try, is how to make cheese from yogurt. You take some plain yogurt, strain it through a muslin cloth. You keep the whey or the leftover liquid for baking. It can be used in scones and baking and soups and thickeners and things. And as the yogurt goes through the muslin cloth, it will take a few hours to strain. When all the liquid from the muslin cloth and the yogurt has come through, you then take the yogurt, mix in 1 teaspoonful of salt and rehang again in the muslin cloth for a few hours. So at the end of this process, you should have a soft cream cheese, and you can use it accordingly just like you would any other cheese and store it in the fridge. If you can access cheap yogurt, it's a great way of getting some very cheap cream cheese. Sally Ann 1 says, dal is one of the cheapest and filling meals you can make. It's a red lentil curry. You can add anything to it. Chunks of squash or pumpkin if you like your curry sweet and tangy. But with lentils being very cheap and very filling, it's always worth finding a cheap recipe on the internet and having that in your repertoire. Honeybee Cottage says, if you use black overripe bananas in your baking, you'll make a nice banana loaf. The good thing about using black bananas is you don't need so much egg or as much sugar because they are sweet and tangy. Samantha Frugal Life says, onion skins make a lovely cup of tea. Steep them in hot water for 2 minutes, remove and enjoy the cup of tea. You can also use onion skins to make a stock. I actually asked Samantha what the onion skin tea tasted like. Did it taste of onions? Because that wouldn't be particularly attractive to many people. But she said it doesn't. It tastes surprisingly refreshing and delicate. So I think it's worth a try. I do know you can dye wool with onion skins and dye fabric with onion skins because when they're soaked over a period of time, they leach out a beautiful deep brown dye. So onion skins that we normally would just put in the bin or put in the compost look like they have lots of uses. So thanks for that suggestion, Samantha. Patty Hendrickson said, when she's cooking or baking, set a timer. You save food from overcooking and burning, and you're also going to save excess use of energy. So that's great because you're not going to waste food by burning or overcooking it, and you're not going to cook any longer than necessary. It's also very good if you can set a timer just before the end of the cooking time and turn off your appliances. so that items can cook in residual heat. That's another great way of saving money. We have quite a few nettle fans, which is great to know, that watch this channel, and 3 of you left some top nettle tips. Tara Taylor said about nettles, she uses nettles basically as a spinach replacement and has them in quiche. She's had white bean and nettle soup, which is very nice. She uses them in pancakes, soups, and stews. To utilise them, she just dries them in the oven overnight using the residual heat for when she's used the oven, and then she can either use them dry or she can powder them. And then if she powders them, she will use them in baking and smoothies. Fat Rabbit is another big nettle fan, making nettle pesto. I've had nettle pesto before, it really is good. Nettle pesto, soup, quiche on top of pizza, basically a free replacement for spinach, and it certainly has all the good vitamins and minerals that spinach has and a little bit more. And Kay Fitz is our third nettle fan. She drinks a nettle infusion almost daily due to the health benefits. When you look at the mineral content and vitamin content of nettles, it even passes spirulina, which people will pay a lot of money for, and nettles are organic and free. Dynamer suggests get into the habit of having just 3 meals a day. I virtually cut sugar out so I didn't have any cravings, and it made it so much easier to have just 3 meals a day, feeling full and content. I don't have any sugar cravings, and so I've saved a lot of money on having to buy or make snacks. Betty Wall suggests make a big pot of soup in the slow cooker that will last at least 5 out of the 7 days, and before every dinner time, serve soup with bread. It will fill people up and you'll be able to serve more costly, expensive main meals. Before we go on to our next few tips, if you like our content, please give us a like. If you like more of our videos, please subscribe. And if you'd like a copy of our free monthly e-newsletter filled with tips and videos all about money saving, frugal living, and finding joy in the simple things, just drop us an email to lovinglifeonless@yahoo.com and we'll make sure you get February and March's newsletter. Stacy says you can make a really nice cup of tea from just adding 1 teaspoon of cinnamon to hot water. It is really delicious. I do remember reading somewhere that cinnamon was very good for suppressing the appetite as well. So if you're sort of trying to lose weight or just want to eat a bit healthier and are trying to cut out sugar snacks, a nice cinnamon tea might be a great way of just heading off those cravings. Mary Beth Smith suggests a 1/4 cup of apple sauce in sweet baking will replace 1 egg. And she also says, use less washing powder than recommended because the load will still get clean. So washing powder or washing up liquid or any product that a company's trying to get you to use more of, always use less than they are suggesting. You'll probably find it just as effective. Another viewer called NA uses cheap soda crystals to add to washing powder to make it go further. They have noticed recently, though, that the price of soda crystals have gone up, and it was actually cheaper to buy and use an own brand supermarket washing powder. But if you can shop around and get soda crystals at a cheap price, use them to bulk out your washing powder or liquids. Natalia Eileen, sorry if I've pronounced your name incorrectly, uses 1 level tablespoon of protein powder as it equivalents to 1 egg in baking, and you won't be able to tell the difference. So if you have some protein powder in your cupboard, either whether you use it for drinks and shakes, or you've used it for when you've been poorly and convalescing, or you've had it for a previous time when you was trying it dieting or just trying to get on a health kick and you don't use it anymore, it could actually be a great way of using it up in your baking. Rainbow says, I eat a lot of lentils and pulses and beans. They are cheap and healthy. I soak them overnight and then I cook them in the pressure cooker for efficiency and economy. And also I will use the slow cooker to cook rice pudding. We made a lovely sweet pudding last week in the slow cooker we just had rice It was normal cooking rice. It wasn't pudding rice either, just normal dried rice. And we used oat milk and honey. We cooked it for 6 hours, continually checking on it that it didn't sort of dry down to nothing. And it made a really nice sweet pudding. Great big slow cooker full of it. So it was really filling too. And that helped when we was doing our week of meals for just £10. Anne Lumsden uses wild garlic from her garden when it grows. She washes, chops, and freezes it and just uses it like an onion. If you're in the UK, I'm not quite sure about other parts of the world, but we're just coming to the beginning of spring. And any time now, we will get in our woods, in our forests, and in some sort of overgrown areas in people's gardens, if they're very fortunate. For a couple of weeks, we have the beautiful wild garlic growing. If you can identify it, it is absolutely gorgeous in salads. We've made garlic salt. You can use it in quiches. It's like the most delicate garlic flavour. It's beautiful stuff. But again, make sure you 100% can identify garlic before eating anything. Same with all foraging. Make sure you've 100% identified something. Patty 1962 says, use your freezer to store excess food. Whether it's bargain food that you've managed to get from the shops, you've made excess amounts for meals, chop up and freeze. Don't let food go bad and waste it. And Beryl Elbeck suggests, if you like peanut butter or Nutella, which is the chocolate hazelnut spread, make your own. For peanut butter, all you need to do is buy a bag of bulk, cheap, own brand peanuts, very cheap, and put it in the blender and blend them down until smooth. If the peanuts are unsalted and you like a bit of salt in your peanut butter, just add 1/4 teaspoon of salt. A tiny little drizzle of your cooking oil, and it just 1/2 teaspoon if you like your peanut butter even smoother. If you like Nutella but don't like the price, you can make something that tastes very similar. You again use peanuts to keep it cheaper than hazelnuts, but as you blend the peanuts, when you've got them to the nice consistency, add 2 teaspoons of cocoa and 2 teaspoons of icing sugar or honey, 1 teaspoon of any cooking oil that you use, and blend it all down. And you will get a lovely chocolate nut spread, a lot cheaper than the shop bought stuff, and you know exactly what goes in it. Thank you for all your comments, suggestions, and tips. They're really appreciated. What makes you such a wonderful community. You're so very part of it. Thank you for watching our video. We'll be back again soon with another money saving frugal video. And until then, we hope you all have a wonderful, blessed, and contented day. Bye for now.